Welcome back to Leadership Clearly, the podcast for Christian leaders who want to grow with clarity, strengthen communication, and build teams that actually last. I'm Julie Wagner, communication coach, corporate leader, and your coach in this space where we tell the truth about leadership, lean on Jesus, and get really practical about what it takes to actually lead people. Okay, so before we get into today's episode, I just want to say, if you're new here, welcome. Genuinely, I am so glad you found this podcast. And if you've been here for a while, you know what we do. We don't do surface level. We do not do hype. We tell the truth about what leadership actually costs and what it actually produces when you do it well. And today's topic, I think, is one of the most overlooked leadership skills out there. We talk a lot about vision casting and communication strategy and building culture, and all of that is important. But today, I want to talk about something that has to come before all of that. You cannot lead people you have not learned. And I know that might sound really simple, maybe even obvious. But I promise you this, if I asked you right now, to tell me one non-work fact about every single person on your team, most leaders are going to stall out. And that gap is costing you more than you realize. So grab your journal or your note-taking device, grab your coffee, or if you're like me, grab your Alani Nu. Today, I am drinking Cherry Twist, which is honestly what's keeping me going. And let's go ahead and dive in. There's a difference between being in charge and being respected. The leaders people talk well about, not because they're flashy, but because they're steady, clear, and wise. Those are the leaders that are intentional about how they communicate. They study themselves. They study their people. If you want to be that kind of leader, the kind who builds strong teams and leaves lasting impact, the Clarity Code was built just for you. It's where we slow down, get honest about how you sound, how you lead, and how to align your communication with the impact you say you want to make. If you're ready for that level of growth, the Clarity Code is your next step. Information is found in the show notes. So I want to start off today with a story because I think it hits differently when you see it in real life versus hearing just a principle, right? Early on in my leadership, early on in my leadership, I had a team member that was sharp. She was talented. She showed up every day. She did her work. She never caused problems. And I could not figure out why she wasn't growing. I couldn't figure out why she wasn't stepping up. Why every time I cast vision for where we were going as a team, she was there, but she would just nod in agreement and then would go back to doing exactly what she'd always been doing. So I remember thinking to myself, maybe she's just not that ambitious. Maybe this is her ceiling. Maybe I just need to manage around her instead of investing in her. And I hate admitting that, but it's definitely something that a leader will think about at some point. So one day, God, I don't even remember how this came up, but I found out that she was terrified of being wrong in front of other people. And I mean, genuinely terrified. It was tied to something in her past, something that really had nothing to do with me or our team or even the job. But suddenly after that, every conversation we'd ever had, it clicked. It clicked. It made sense. Every time I would ask her to step up in a group setting, she would literally shut down, not because she didn't want to grow, but because I had never created a safe enough of a path for her to grow in the way she needed to grow. I didn't know her very well. I knew her job. I knew her output. I knew her performance metrics. But guys, I didn't know her. And that right there is the difference I want to talk about today. There is this assumption that most leaders carry, and I'll be honest, I carried it too. It's the assumption that if you cast vision clearly enough, if your strategy is strong enough, if your expectations are clear enough, people will follow. And yeah, that's partially true. People will comply, people will do the job, but compliance is not the same as commitment, right? And commitment is what you actually need if you want to build a team that goes the distance with you. The leaders who build those kind of teams, the kind where people are still talking about them 20 years later, those leaders, they know their people, not just their strengths, not just their weaknesses on paper. They know what drives them underneath the surface, what they're afraid of, what they're hoping for, what makes them feel seen. And that knowledge, guys, it changes everything about how you lead them. Okay, let's get practical because I think know your people can feel kind of vague, right? Like, okay, Julie, I got it. Be a nice human. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about three specific things that I think every leader needs to know about every person on their team. And these aren't things you're going to find on a personality assessment or a performance review. These are things you learn by paying attention and asking better questions. So here's the first one: how they receive feedback. I think this one is so important and it's so underrated because here's the thing: feedback is one of the most powerful tools as a leader that you can give your people. It's how you develop your people, it's how you course correct, it's how you build trust when you do it right. But the way one person needs to receive feedback is completely different from the way another person needs to receive feedback. Some people on your team want it very direct, like me. Just tell me. Don't give me fluff. Don't give me nonsense. Just get straight to the point. Don't need to skirt around it at all. Don't soften it. Don't build up to it. Just say the thing for goodness sake. These people experience directness as respect. It tells them that you trust them enough to handle the truth. And then there's the people that need context first. They need to understand the why before they can hear the what. If you lead with correction before you've established the frame, they're going to shut down. And it's not because they're fragile, but it's really just because they process it differently. And if you're giving everyone the same kind of feedback the same way, you are hitting some people, but you're missing the others. And the ones you're missing, they're probably the ones you've labeled as sensitive or hard to coach. But guys, they're not hard to coach. You just haven't learned the way they receive it yet. The second thing is what actually motivates them underneath the surface. Now, listen, most leaders think they know this, okay? They think it's the paycheck or the title or the recognition. And for some people, yes, that's real. I have worked in the tech sales industry for a very, very long time. And yes, money motivates, okay? But motivation is almost never as simple as just money. I've had team members who were motivated by growth above everything else. Put them in a role where they're learning something new and they will run through a wall for you. But put them in the role where they feel like they've been plateaued, they're gone, physically or mentally or both. I've had team members that are motivated by stability, not because they're chasing the next thing, but it's because they want to know that they're safe. They want to know that they're valued, that the ground isn't going to shift under them. And when you understand that, you lead them completely different. You check in more, you communicate changes earlier, you don't surprise them if you can help it. I've had team members who are motivated by purpose. They have to feel like the work matters. They have to see the connection between what they do every day and something bigger than a quota or a deliverable. And if you can draw a line for them, if you can help them see that, they will work with a fire that you cannot manufacture with any incentive program. I promise you this. You cannot motivate people the same way across the board and expect it to land the same with everyone. You have to know what actually motivates them. And the third, I think this is the one that most leaders never actually think about is what shuts them down. Every person on your team has an invisible wall, right? We all do. A trigger, a thing that happens. Sometimes it's in a meeting, sometimes it's in a conversation, sometimes it's in a decision that you make that makes them go quiet and pull back. And most leaders never know what it is because they're not looking for it. I think for some people, it's being put on the spot in front of a group. I don't know. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm not prepared enough to and I get put on the spot, man, I get sweaty palms. I will start to talk really fast. And then you'll hear me say, like so, about 50 times, which we all know if you're any type of communication expert or you enjoy communicating with proper words, I guess. We don't want to say like so on a regular basis, especially I don't know why bothers me. And I think it's because of the very short and brief training I had in the pageant world when I was in high school. Maybe it stems from that. Let's get back to what I was just talking about. So, for some people, it's feeling like their input wasn't considered. For some people, it's a tone, a specific kind of urgency or a frustration in your voice that reads it's unsafe, even if you don't mean it that way. And guys, that has nothing to do with you at the end of the day. I understand that, right? But we do have to maintain the understanding that we work with people where we don't know what is in their past. We don't know exactly how their brain works. And we have to respect that, which is why keeping respectful tones in a workplace, and I don't care what workplace you're in, I don't care if you're in ministry, I don't care if you're in the marketplace, if you're an entrepreneur, you talk to people with respect, okay? Even when you are having a super, super hard conversation, you make sure that you learn how to read these people. And if you don't know them that well, this is a great time to get to know them a little bit, but you keep your tone professional. So when you don't know what that wall is, you're just going to continue to hit it over and over. And then you're going to sit back and wonder why this person is disengaged, or why don't they speak up, or why they seem fine. And then you find out later they actually weren't fine. Learn the wall, not so you can tiptoe around it, okay? Because some leaders have to push, but so you know what you're working with. If you can approach a hard conversation with a person in a way that keeps them present instead of shutting down, that is a win for both of you. Now, I want to bring in something here that I think a lot about as a faith based leader. Craig Groeschel, if you don't know who he is, he's an incredible preacher. I highly advise you to check him out if you have never heard of him. He talks a lot about this in the context of pastoral leadership, that a pastor who doesn't know their flock can't really shepherd them. You can preach to them, you can manage the service, you can keep the lights on, but shepherding requires relationship. It requires knowing the people you're responsible for. And I think about that all the time when it comes to the context of leading teams, because God gave you these people. If you're a leader, the people on your team are not there by accident. They are an assignment, and you cannot shepherd what you have not studied. The leader who learns their people earns a loyalty that no paycheck, no title, no ping pong table in the break room can ever buy. That is just the truth. So I want to talk about a little gut check here, okay? This is where I'm going to ask you to get really honest with yourself. And if you're driving in the car right now, totally answer out loud. If you're not with other people, of course. But this is also where, if you want to start taking some notes on here too, take some notes because it's so important to journal, to take down notes, because when we write things down, okay, so here's where I'm going to ask you to get really honest with yourself. And this is not about shame. I promise you, this is about invitation. Can you name one non work fact about every single person on your team that you lead right now? Not their role, not their performance, not their strengths on paper. One thing about who they are as a human outside of this job? If you can, amazing. You were already doing it. Keep going. If you stalled out on one or two people, that's your starting point. That's the person who needs your attention this week. And here's what this doesn't have to look like. It doesn't have to be a big sit down conversation. It doesn't have to feel like a normal, let me get to know you meeting that's awkward for everyone, especially if you've been leading these people for a while. I understand those, let me get to know you in the beginning of a career with the new team member, but yeah, we don't want to make it super awkward. So instead of the question, how's it going? Because let's just be honest, everyone answers the same way. Ask something that's going to invite a real answer. Questions like, here, let me think some out loud for you. What's been the best part of your week so far? What are you working on outside of work right now? What's something that you're proud of lately? One question, one real answer, one layer deeper. And then you listen, like actually listen, not to respond, not to fix, not to redirect work stuff, just so you know them a little bit better than you did before. I started doing this with my teams about 15 years ago. Started being really more intentional about learning who these humans are that I'm working with on a daily basis. And I'm telling you, it changed the culture. Not overnight, not dramatically, but slowly. Conversations got more honest. People started bringing me their problems earlier, which we all know as a leader is a much appreciated task, is when they bring us the problem before it becomes a fire. People started taking more ownership because they felt like they mattered to me as people, not just performers. And that's what you're building. You're building the long game, not the short game. Now, I do have to tell you, be very cognizant on what you share with people as well, right? They're going to share stuff with you, which is awesome. I mean, guys, I have worked with people where I have known very deep, intimate things about family situations happening, very surface level things about like health situations. And I have to tell you, the fact that they even told me that was not, it wasn't about manipulation with them. It was because they trusted me. But then you'll have some people, like you're just going to have some people that are a complete block. You will try everything under the sun to try and get these folks to just crack the shell just a skosh. And when it comes to those people that are just like, I ain't telling you jack crap, this is my work, I keep my work in my life, my home life separate, all of that kind of stuff. That's when you just sit back and you just respect it and you just keep it super professional. Don't ever ask them questions about, what they're like, how's their day, or, what are you doing this weekend, or how was your vacation? That just it might just be coming back to the question of, what's been the best part of your week so far? So you can still ask those three questions to those people, but if they don't want to crack for you, that's okay, right? That's okay. Everybody's a little different. So I wanted to throw that in there because sometimes people might feel that you get too personal and they go to HR. And I am speaking from experience where they went to HR and said that they didn't want to know about how my weekend was, which was very interesting. And this was like many years ago, but they didn't really care about my family. They didn't really care about, what movie me or the rest of the team saw this weekend or what we did. They just wanted to talk about work. And you know what? I respected that. But that was the minority. That was the minority of the opinion. And that person didn't last very long with the company at all because he had been like that, not only with me, but many other managers before. So I didn't take it personally because I didn't need to take it personally. But I always want you guys to remember, just be a little extra cognizant when you do have a couple of those people that are on your team, right? This is the perks about building your own team, by the way. You get to choose who you hire. All right, let's go on to the next one because I could keep talking about this for like another hour. So I want to close with this right now because I think that we've gotten some really good plans to put into action. But I want to close with 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. And you might know this verse. It's the one where God is talking to Samuel about choosing the next king of Israel. And what he says is this: the Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. God leads us by knowing us fully, not by our performance, not by our output, not what we produce, because he knows our heart and he leads from that place. And I honestly, truly believe that the most powerful leaders, the ones that build teams that last, the ones that build cultures that people are loyal for life, they take that same posture with the people they're entrusted with. You were given these people on purpose for a reason, and you have the opportunity to lead them the way God leads you, from a place of actually knowing them, not just managing them. So that's the invitation today. Learn your people, not because it's a leadership strategy, although it is, okay? But because your people are worth knowing. All right, friends, that is your episode for the week. I hope this one sat with you. I hope that it made you think about someone specific on your team and what you might not know about them yet. And if this hits for you, do me a favor. You can share this, you can screenshot this episode, tag me, send it to a leader in your life that you think might really need to hear it as well. That's how this podcast grows, and that's how more leaders get the tools they need. So I will see you next week, and keep leading clearly. If today's episode resonated with you and you're realizing that leadership requires more clarity, more courage, and more consistency than you've been operating with, I want to invite you into something deeper. The Clarity Code is my new leadership bootcamp designed to help you slow down, get clear, and lead with confidence when conversations are hard, decisions are heavy, and people are counting on you. This isn't about fixing everyone else. It's about strengthening how you lead so your words, your presence, and your follow-through actually build trust. If you're ready to step into leadership with greater clarity and conviction, I'd love for you to join us inside the Clarity Code. Link is found in the show notes. And if Leadership Clearly has been encouraging or grounding for you, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. We release new episodes every Monday to help you start your week off with clarity, encouragement, and strong leadership perspective. And finally, if you know a leader who's navigating hard conversations or just carrying a lot right now, please share this episode with them. Leadership was never meant to be done alone. I'm glad you're here. Keep leading well. I'll see you next week.